The story of Job. Faith in the face of suffering. In the land of Uz. In the ancient land of Uz, there lived a man named Job. Job was a man of extraordinary wealth and virtue. He had a large family with 7 sons and 3 daughters, and his flocks and herds were immense. Job was known throughout the land for his unwavering faith in God and his reputation for integrity and righteousness. The heavenly council one day, the heavenly realm held a council. The Lord, surrounded by his angels, was discussing the affairs of the world. Among them was Satan, who had come to challenge the faithfulness of human beings. Satan argued that Job's piety was only because he had been blessed with prosperity and protection. He suggested that if Job were to lose everything, he would surely curse God. To test this claim, the Lord agreed to allow Satan to test Job, but with one condition: Satan must not harm Job physically. Thus the stage was set for Job's profound trial. Job's first trials. In quick succession, Job faced a series of devastating calamities. As if this were not enough, a great wind came and collapsed the house where his children were feasting, resulting in the death of all 10 of them. Despite these tragedies, Job's response was remarkable. He tore his robe, shaved his head, and fell to the ground in mourning. Yet, he did not curse God. Instead, he said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." The second phase of testing. Undeterred by Job's steadfastness, Satan challenged God again, claiming that Job's faithfulness was only skin deep. He argued that if Job were to suffer physically, he would surely renounce his faith. The Lord allowed Satan to afflict Job with painful sores from head to toe, but he forbade Satan from taking Job's life. Job was struck with terrible sores, and his suffering was so intense that he took a piece of broken pottery to scrape himself in an attempt to find some relief. His wife, seeing his distress, urged him to curse God and die. Job rebuked her, saying, "Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" Despite the excruciating pain and deep sorrow, Job remained faithful and did not sin by blaming God. The arrival of Job's friends. 3 of Job's friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, heard about his plight and came to offer their support. They were initially silent, sitting with Job in his grief for 7 days and nights. Their presence was a comfort, but their counsel proved less helpful. The dialogue. When they spoke, their words were filled with the belief that suffering must be a punishment for sin. Eliphaz suggested that Job's suffering might be a result of some hidden sin, and that God uses suffering to correct people. Bildad argued that Job's children must have sinned and brought this suffering upon themselves. Zophar was even more direct, saying that Job's suffering was less than he deserved, and that he needed to repent to restore his fortunes. Job defended his innocence and maintained that he had lived a righteous life. He questioned why he, a blameless man, would suffer so terribly, while the wicked seemed to prosper. He expressed his frustration and confusion, wishing for a direct encounter with God to explain his suffering. Job's lament and God's response. Job's lament grew deeper as he continued to ponder his suffering. He longed for a mediator who could bridge the gap between him and God. He felt abandoned and unjustly punished. Finally, God responded to Job out of a whirlwind. Rather than directly answering Job's questions, God spoke of the wonders of creation, the mysteries of the natural world, and the vastness of divine wisdom. God asked Job if he was able to comprehend the complexities of creation or control the forces of nature. Through this, God emphasized the limitations of human understanding compared to his own infinite wisdom. Job's response and restoration. Humbled by the grandeur and majesty of God's response, Job acknowledged his limited understanding and repented for questioning divine wisdom. He realized that human beings cannot fully grasp the purposes of God, and he submitted to God's greater plan. God was pleased with Job's humility and faithfulness. He rebuked Job's friends for their misguided advice and instructed them to make sacrifices and asked Job to pray for them. Job prayed for his friends, and God accepted his prayer. A new beginning. God restored Job's fortunes. He gave him twice as much as he had before, 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. Job was blessed with 7 more sons and 3 more daughters, and his new daughters were renowned for their beauty. Job lived to a ripe old age, enjoying peace and prosperity for the rest of his days. Legacy of Job. Job's story is often seen as a profound exploration of suffering, faith, and divine justice. It teaches that faith in God can endure through the greatest trials, and that God's wisdom is beyond human understanding. Even when we cannot see the reasons for our suffering, faith and trust in God remain paramount.